White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre showing once again that she appears to be in way over her head as the face of the White House communications operation. Her just 4-month-long tenure has been filled with gaffes, misstatements, and awkward spin, and now a comically absurd series of remarks from the podium yesterday has many wondering if it's time for Jean-Pierre to be let go from the job altogether. Because in any other world, the type of bumbling explanation she tried to sell would be a fireable offense. Now, it's not entirely her fault. At a White House conference on hunger, nutrition, and health, President Biden called out for Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, who often worked on those issues as though she were sitting in the audience. The problem? The Congresswoman is now dead.
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
She definitely wasn't going to be there because she died last month in a car crash in her native Indiana. Now, that's a brutal slip, and it surely won't quiet critics who've concerns about the president's cognitive function as he approaches his 80th birthday. But Jean-Pierre's botched attempt to clean it up took the gaffe to another level. As you'd expect, it was one of the first questions asked at yesterday's briefing, and Jean-Pierre's answer was truly confounding.
The president was naming the congressional champions on this issue and was acknowledging her incredible work. He had already planned to welcome the Congresswoman's family to the White House on Friday. There will be a bill signing in her honor this coming Friday. So, of course, she was on his mind. She was of top of mind for the president. He very much looks forward to discussing her remarkable legacy of public service with them when he sees her family this coming Friday.
He said, Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? She must not be here.
No, I totally understand. I just explained she was on top of mind. You know, this wasn't what we were able to witness today, and what the president was able to lift up in this at this conference, at this event, was how her focus on wanting to combat food insecurity in America. And this is something that he was lifting up and honoring.
What? Now, maybe someone instructed her to say that, but to lean heavily on the excuse that the late Congresswoman was on the top of Biden's mind and then just kept talking in circles. Look, I get there's really no good answer here, right? You kind of have to own it. And the White House is understandably hesitant to concede that the soon-to-be octogenarian chief executive had any kind of mental lapse. But not surprisingly, the media wasn't going to give up.
I'm compelled to ask you to go one more time back to the question about Congresswoman Walorski.
I'm not sure why. Why one more time?
Frankly, honestly, I think the memory of the Congresswoman and history requires some clarity here. Can you explain where the mistake was made? Was the president confused? Was something written in the teleprompter that he didn't recognize? Can you just help us understand what happened?
I mean, you're jumping to a lot of conclusions. No, but you're. I hear you, Stephen. I'm answering the question. That you're jumping to a lot of conclusions. I just answered the question. If that had been the case, I would have stated that, right? I would clearly have stated what you just laid out. What I had said is that she was on top of mind, and that he is going to see her family in just 2 days' time on Friday to honor her work, to honor her legacy, if you will. I've just mentioned this. It's going to be a renaming of a VA clinic in Indiana in her name, and you know, that is what he was thinking of.
Well, we wanted to try and play as much as possible so you would understand the context. It's not just the awful explanation from Jean-Pierre. It's the problem here, and the doubling down on her confusing spin. It's this sort of insistence that she's somehow being crystal clear. And the notion this reporter would have the gall to follow up on a question that she didn't even come close to answering the first time around. Now, from there, the briefing went totally off the rails as Jean-Pierre tried desperately to run for cover.
She was on top of mind. I mean, I don't, that is, I mean, that is not an unusual scenario there.
Karine, I have John Lennon top of mind just about every day, but I'm not looking around for him anywhere.
When you sign a bill for John Lennon as president, then we can have this conversation. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Karine, these moments of confusion are happening with the reason.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, there are
Americans
reports
are
that
watching this and are having concerns. What do you say to that? This is a legitimate question. We need to have some answers.
At the end of the year, what can you tell us
I'm
about
sorry,
that?
somebody was yelling over you, so go ahead. Go
There are
ahead.
reports that Treasury Secretary Yellen is looking to leave.
It is not
the
your turn to
administration.
speak, and you're being rude to your colleagues, and let your colleague answer the question. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're yelling and over your colleague. So that is incredibly rude. So can you, go ahead. Go ahead.
There are reports that Treasury Secretary Yellen.
I hope you didn't change the channels that was happening, because it was so uncomfortable that I'm even sitting here going, oh my God. Now, look, we saw her there bring back a favorite tactic deployed by, most notably, by former Donald Trump press secretary Kayleigh McEnany. Jean-Pierre tried to talk her way out of a tough spot by pitting the correspondents in the briefing room against one another. But the reporters are wise to that trick now. They'll work together until they get the answers. Answers they didn't get today either. Bottom line, either someone put Karine Jean-Pierre in an impossible spot and told her to say that, or more likely, she completely botched a serious question that deserves answers. Joining us now is someone who's got some insight on this is Steven Maviglio. He served as press secretary for former California Democratic Governor Gray Davis. Thanks very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so are you going to defend her here?
Well, you know, I teach a class in political communication. The first thing I put on the board is the best spin is the truth. And you have to have credibility with the media.
All right, it looks like we may have lost. Steven, it looks like we may have lost you there. Do we have him back? I guess not. All right. Well, you know what?
I am here.
Oh,
Yep.
there you are. All right.
Here I am.
Sorry about that.
No,
So let me I'll just tell you what we heard. We heard the part about you teach a class and you got to tell the truth. Sorry. Continue from there.
So she was in that deep, dark, unspinnable place, right? So she was floundering and trying to get out of that question and didn't do a very good job at it. So, you know, but believe me, those words top of mind is not something that comes up across a normal conversation every day. So that's something she'd planned on saying, and it wasn't received very well.
Well, I guess that's my question. Is it possible that someone above her said, here's what the explanation has to be? It has to be top of mind, or is someone in her position going to be making that decision on her own to make up that ridiculous explanation?
No, I mean, everybody knew that was going to be question numero uno at this press briefing, right? So they went through this, I'm sure, for a good 20 minutes, half hour about how to tackle it. I mean, they're so super sensitive, as they should be, to the president's cognitive abilities that they have to push back really hard on something like this. And that's what they decided. And she was the messenger. You know, you can't shoot the messenger all the time. I'm sure this came from higher places.
Well, well, okay. If that's the case, then maybe I'm being too tough on her specifically. But it would seem to me that the much easier answer would have been he forgot. He forgot. And he was thinking about this issue, and he knew it was an issue that was important to her. And the minute he said, is Jackie here, it hit him that she, of course, wasn't there. And he thought about I mean, it just seems to me you got to just kind of own it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he forgot, because imagine what would happen. Press secretary says president forgets.
This is worse.
Could say he made a mistake. And, you know, the cover-up is worse than the crime sometimes, and I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that this is, I think, a worse situation, because if that had been the case, I will tell you, I wouldn't have been doing a segment on this. Just on, you know, you might see some people who just want to do a politicized segment on, let's go after Joe Biden. I'm doing this segment because I feel like there's a level of dishonesty here that I think should be called out. And I do this for both sides, and I think that this just feels totally disingenuous and feels like we're being lied to.
Well, you got to remember, the press secretary works for the president, doesn't work for the press corps. It's a rough position to be, you know, being able to please both parties. And, you know, I think they'd rather have you talking about her gaffe than the president's forgetting. So, you know, they're probably high-fiving what happened in there because
Come
there's just
on, they're not high-fiving this. If they're high-fiving this, then all those people need to find new jobs. Come on, they're high-fiving this?
No, I think the fact that you're dwelling on her comments rather than what the president said, I take that as a win.
No, look, what the president said, I promise you, is being covered ad nauseum on Fox News, Newsmax, et cetera. And MSNBC and CNN aren't going to touch this issue at all. They're not going to talk about Jean-Pierre. They're not going to talk about the president. Those of us who try to be fair brokers are going to say, okay, it sure looks bad for President Biden. And you know what else? It looks even worse for the press secretary because this answer is so dumb. But
again, she's pretty new on this job. She's learning at it. She's certainly follows in the wake of one of the best ever. I wouldn't have handled that way, but that's what they decided. She had to deliver the goods, and that's what happened.
Steven Maviglio, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.